just get going here. Hi, Adrian. Hi, Matt. So we'll get started. If anyone else jumps on, then follow along and ask questions along the way. So feel free to interrupt me with questions as I'm sharing my screen. But basically today's training, we're going to go through one of the playbooks from MegaCamp. This one specifically talks about ways in which you can grow your database with throwing your buyer clients a housewarming party. Oh, hey, Kathleen. I didn't know you were going to jump on.
Yeah, hi.
Cool. So I was just saying that we're pulling in one of those playbooks. One agent, KW agent, throws their clients, their buyer clients, a housewarming party once they close. And so it's basically a way for them to grow their database and kind of collect more contact information for their buyer's sphere, essentially. So it's kind of a cool concept. It's a different way to think about lead generation and different ways in which you can grow your database. And so it's also a very authentic way, I think. It's just creating more connections with the people that you already know and have done a deal with. And so I'm going to dive into that playbook first, just kind of run through it, run through that process that agent takes. And then I'm going to go into some different ways that you can execute, inviting those people to the event, to that housewarming party, and then different ways that you can follow up with them post the event as well. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started with that playbook. So can everybody see my screen here? Okay, cool. So here's the playbook, and all of these playbooks can be found on through command and through the connect section. So let me just go into command. So if you are in command and you click on this connect button in the upper left corner, and you just do a search for the name of this playbook, this will appear. And that's the case for any of those playbooks. So if you were on last week's training about, we went through some like direct mail and just different ways that you can reach out that way. You can search by those specific names. So here's that playbook, grow your database with housewarming parties. And so this is an agent in Ohio who does this. So it's a unique way to show your value, meet new potential clients, stay top of mind. And specifically for Floor, these parties have resulted in at least one closing per party for her and her team, as well as several new leads. So essentially where she starts is she presents this party to her clients. And so it's a simple ask. She volunteers to give them their own housewarming party. So you're hosting it. You take care of, the invites, the food, the beverages, and everything. So it's basically you're throwing this housewarming party on their behalf. And you just need to know who to invite. Who do they want invited to this housewarming party? At that point, you capture their information. So you collect that invite list from your client, and you're able to add those contacts into your database. And then your job is to then invite them, whether that's via email or direct mail or calling them or texting them. And we'll get into more specifics on how to use command to send that invite in just a second here.
And I just can I just jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I think, so obviously there's a cost involved with like the invites, the food, the beverages, we're going to talk about a photo booth here in a second. This is a really great opportunity to bring in that client's lender because they also have a reason to celebrate this closing and, share that client list, the invite list together and allow the lender to grow their database as well. And they would probably front the cost for all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good point, Kathleen. Yeah, so if you're um, kind of leery about like the cost involved, like excellent opportunity to leverage your lender relationships and present that ask to them because it's also going to provide them value as well in order to grow their database. So it's a win-win for both of you. Okay, so then we're going to get into how to invite people. So I think Eventbrite is a really great option. So I think 9 times out of 10, a lot of people are going to use Eventbrite. It's a free service that you can basically add your event to with all of the details, the date, the time, and it creates an RSVP. So that's what you can link to in order for people to RSVP to this event. And then again, you capture whatever information that you need from them. So it's just eventbrite.com and it'll take you right in there. And it's free just to go in here, log in or sign up for an account. And then you're able to enter in that event. The great thing about this is that your event is then searchable by Google. So if someone is searching like housewarming party or something along those lines, like your event is actually going to appear as well. So, and it's going to showcase any other events like in your area. So it's kind of cool. All right. You can also do a Google form. That's also free. So totally up to you on how you want to capture those invites. But I would definitely look into Eventbrite. Otherwise, Google Forms is also a very easy option to create that Google form and then again, link it and you're going to capture that information and get those email notifications that a new RSVP was submitted to your email. So, all right. Once you have captured that client list or there's those RSVPs, I would just make sure that you are adding them into your database right away and you're tagging them with the client's last name dash housewarming or something along those lines so that when you're then reaching out to those people or following up with those people, you know exactly where that source, where they came from. And so that's a good indication of, okay, this is where I got the information. I got them from, you know, the Vranek family. This was an invite to their housewarming party is how they came into my database. And so that's also where you can filter by that tag and then send that invite to them. So the next thing is you want to pick a theme and you want to stick with it. So you want to really create consistency around these housewarming parties. So serve the same foods. So you're not thinking of something different every single time you're throwing one of these. Make it duplicatable, like a taco bar, something kind of simple where you're getting the same food and beverages every single time and you're creating that process. So it's something that you're kind of used to, you know exactly what you're getting, you know where to get it. And those types of things. So the other thing too, invest in a photo booth station to bring to each party. So another thing that, you know, your lender can chip in on or cover the cost of, but it's something fun to kind of bring to the party. A lot of people enjoy photo booths. It kind of brings people together and it also creates kind of that lasting effect of, you know, creating those photos and kind of publicizing the event too. Use the same template for signs and decor. So it's something that maybe you have just a general sign that you can present and have at the front door of each of these parties. You know, it can kind of have, you know, the same information on it, your logo, your name, something like that, just more so your branded like materials. And so it's all going to, people are going to recognize your same brand, whether it's the banner at the front of the house, your business card, any other kind of printed materials that you have at that party. And then, you know, of course, throw an awesome party. So you can personally mail or email invitations. So again, we'll get into that in just a little bit here. So you're sending those on behalf of the client. You can create client-specific photo props, welcome signs. I know there's a ton of options that you can order on like Amazon or Etsy. Just kind of those photo booth props that you can utilize as well. Deliver those materials and the food and the beverages. And then you want to take photos and videos of the party and send them to the client afterwards. So you can send them to the client to then share, but then you can also, I would recommend a follow-up email with some of those photos as well. And of course, social media, you want to kind of always, for an event, think of it as you're marketing it pre, during, and post the event. So you have 3 different ways in which you can promote that event. Of course, you're going to, email or mail or call people inviting them to the event, kind of hype it up, mention a couple things that they can expect to see at the party. During the party, you can do Facebook Live or Instagram, post some pictures and videos during the event, and then post the event, more pictures and videos, follow up with an email thank you, and those types of things. She actually puts together like a video just to highlight one of the parties. So that's something that you can click and watch here. So it seems like she creates her own like YouTube channel and has some of those like follow-up videos of some of those housewarming parties on there. So another way to kind of create FOMO and, highlight the event. And it's a really cool event that she puts on for her clients. And then of course, make friends and keep in touch. So now that these people are added to your database, it's an opportunity for you to follow up with them, stay in touch, stay top of mind. So they already know that their friend or their family member used you as their realtor, and they know that they trusted you. And so it's going to be a great referral system for you as well. So bring your family and have a good time. This is about your clients, not networking for new ones. So just the fact that you're throwing this party for them, you don't really have to make that event like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Like they already know that. It's just an opportunity for them to get to know you and to, just making friends. Welcome everyone individually and have conversations with guests throughout the party. Obviously socialize, get to know people, have them get to know you. It does not have to be real estate related. And then of course, send a thank you for attending, email with a video from the party. So just a couple of tips and tricks there. Some options to kind of, formulate this party and make that part of your, your value proposition to your buyer clients. All right. So as you can see, these playbooks are just a one-pager. It's really just a breakdown of, the different things that the agent does in order to create these different systems. So right now I'm going to get into exactly how you can send that email invite to a group of people in your database. So Command is going to allow you to do all of that. But the first thing you have to do is you want to first create that RSVP. So whether it's in Eventbrite or it's a Google form, or maybe it's somewhere else, but you first want to create that, that event or that form. Once you have that form, so I'm going to go into Command now. And the first thing that you can do is you can create the email design. So I would recommend, instead of it being a simple text email, creating a more designed email campaign that you can send out. So I'm going to start in Designs. So Designs is that little paintbrush icon. And so it's going to take me right in here where I've got all of my past designs. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Design. And I'm going to choose Email. And click Next. So it's going to pull up all of the different email templates that I can choose from. And it really doesn't matter which one you choose. I prefer to use a more generic template. And then I kind of I use bits and pieces of it, but some of the content I delete and add my own. You can also create a new template that kind of starts like a blank slate. But the one I prefer to use, I'm just going to hit load more. You can see there's 73 templates in here. Some of them are titled something very specific, and you can kind of see from the thumbnail image that some of these are already put together. They're very specific in terms of the content, and other ones are a little bit more of a basic template, like a newsletter template, or more listing based, luxury listing based. So you'll see all of those in here. There's some holiday ones in here, but I prefer to use some of these like classic, basic, modern basic. So I'm going to choose this one here, this classic basic. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click next. All right. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just retitle it. So instead of it saying classic basic, I'm going to title this Housewarming Party Invite. Just so that I have this template created, I know exactly what it's for when I'm looking back in my design library. So a couple of things that I do first with this particular template, you'll notice that you've got a few icons up here. I can click on this little eye icon, and that's going to give me a preview of the design. And it'll kind of show me what's pulling in here. So like the KW logos at the top, I've got this red line. My information is going to pull into this section. That's all pulling from my marketing profile. That's the consumer facing profile in Command. And the footer, that legal footer, it's all going to pull in the information from that profile. So I'm not going to really touch much of this at the bottom, especially that legal footer. That's required. But what I am going to do, and I'm just going to exit out of that preview. I don't really care for that header with the KW logo. The KW logo is already in the footer. I'm going to click on this section here, and it's going to highlight that in blue, and I'm just going to delete that whole thing. Same thing with this headline copy. I'm just going to click over here in this white space. It's going to, again, highlight that whole section, and I'm going to delete. Couple other things, contact me for more details or to schedule a tour. That's not going to pertain to what, I'm emailing out in this case. So again, I'm going to click on that and delete. All right. The next thing that I'm going to do, and you guys, you can format this however you want. This is just how I typically format an email campaign. I'm going to include an image. So you'll see here over on the right-hand side, I've got all of these different options for content. So I've got a text box if I want to add more text, an image, button, legal header, footer, listing block, video, event block, market snap. Those are all options that I can include in this email. So what I've done is I've created an image for this event. So I'm going to click image and drag it over. So you'll notice that it's dragging over and showing where it's going to be inputted with this green line. So I'm going to drag and drop that in. That's going to show up above that text box. So then it's going to allow me to choose an image. So it's going to show any images that I've already added. Otherwise, I'm going to click on add images, and that's going to allow me to drag and drop or browse my files. So I've already created an image. I created something in Canva, and I want to use for this email invite. So I have it on my desktop. I'm just going to drag and drop it in here. I'm going to click on that image, and I'm going to hit save. So here we go. So this is just the invite that I created in Canva, just as an example. And then I'm going to add some text in here. So this is a good opportunity just to add a little bit more text and description for what this event is going to entail. So this could be, a little bit more about like, join us for food, beverages, photo booth, and a great time celebrating, I made up names, Joe and Jenny's new home. So you have the option to change up that text a little bit here, make it bold, centered. You can increase the font size. So you've got all of the tools right in here to change that up. So anytime you're editing like an image or like the text or things like that, make sure to hit this done button. And that's essentially going to save it and update that design. So here we go. And I don't need the second text box, so I'm going to click on that and delete that. So there's my text. Maybe I want to make that a little bit bigger just because it's not a ton of text. So, and you can play around with that however you'd like. The other thing that I want to add, I'm going to add a button, and this is going to be my RSVP button. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that underneath the text. And so to edit, I'm going to double click on that button. And so I'm going to change that button text to something like RSVP here. And I'm going to link that to a web address, because that's either going to be my Eventbrite link or my Google form link to that RSVP. So let's just pretend this is my link to RSVP. You're going to copy and paste that link, or, you know, usually when you do create something, it's going to provide a shortened URL for that RSVP link. So I'm just going to pretend that this is the right link for right now. But you would copy that and you would paste it into that web address field. You can also adjust the height and the width of that button. You can change the font of that button text, and you can also change that background color. So if I click on here, it's going to allow me to adjust that. Once I hit done, you'll see that change. I don't necessarily love when the text like isn't stretched out. So I'm going to double click on that again. And all I'm going to do to adjust that is I'm going to adjust the width a little bit longer of that button. So once I do that and hit done, you'll notice that that makes that button a little bit longer, that width a little bit more, just so that the RSVP here, that text is all on one line. All right, so once I'm satisfied with that, okay, looks good. All right. The other thing that I think is always kind of best practice, this image here, I'm going to double click on that. You'll notice that you can also link that image. And I'm going to link that again to a web address. I'm going to use the same link. So just in case somebody doesn't really see that RSVP here button, but they click on the image to RSVP, that's still going to take them to that RSVP. So it's always good to kind of give them multiple options to click and RSVP. So I'm just adding that link in there, the web address, I'm copying and pasting it here, and I'm going to hit done. That's just linking that image. So once you're satisfied with that, you're good on that design, you can always click on that eyeball. That's going to give you that preview. And that's what that email is going to look like. One little trick here, if that spacing seems a little off, I like to add another text box like between here. And I'm just going to delete that text. And you'll see it just creates some extra space. You can also add an event block. So this is kind of a pre-formatted event like section for that email. My green line's getting a little funky. Got a mind of its own. My cursor. But it's basically a, yeah, this is, I'm gonna undo. So if you do anything like that, you can do undo, or you'll see those arrows up here. Let me try that again. Okay. So it does kind of formulate a specific event block. So you can use that as well. You'll notice that you can double click and add a different image in there, and you can change all of these different text boxes. Same thing with the button. So that's also an option. And you would do the exact same thing. You would replace that image with your image that you uploaded. And hit done. You'll notice that it's kind of tiny, so I'm not a huge fan of that. I would want to increase that width and that height. Actually, I change it to about 750. Let's try that. Done. So I guess I'm more of a fan of just uploading it myself than this event block, just in order to manipulate it a little bit more, but just know that that is an option in case you do want to use that. So I'm just going to delete this section. Maybe I have to delete this whole thing. Well, otherwise I'll do undo. Let's do that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so once you're done with that, you also have an option up here to send a test email. So I would always recommend sending yourself a test email in order for you to take a look and see what that email is going to look like. So I'm going to type in my email, I'm going to send test email, and then I'm going to receive that. It's always just a good indication, and make sure everything's formatted correctly, everything's easy to read. So always do that before you send something out. I'm going to quickly go into my email, refresh my email. There it is. There's my test email. And here we go. Oh, looks like I forgot to delete that, but then always double check those links. So I'm going to click on that RSVP button. Looks like that is working as it should. Just pretend that I created my event. So that one's working. And then remember, I also linked my image. So if I click the image, it should link to the same spot, which it is. Perfect. All right. And you'll notice too that it's going to pull in your marketing profile, that legal footer, all good. Okay. So the next thing that you're going to do, so I'm just going to hit save again. So that email design is saved. I'm going to exit out. It's going to ask you to save the changes again. Yep, save changes. When in doubt, hit save. All right, and you'll see that that design has been added in here. So the next thing that you can do is create your own custom smart plan. So creating your own custom smart plan is going to allow you to kind of set this up however you want. So I'm going to go into smart plans, that fourth icon down. All right, so you'll notice that you've got a option for create in the upper right corner here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create. And it's going to prompt you to name the smart plan. So I'm going to name this Housewarming Party Vranek. So you can name it however you'd like. This is really just for your eyes only, so that you know exactly what smart plan this is. So then you can hit apply. And then this is going to allow me to start creating and setting up that smart plan. So right now I've got no steps, but over here under actions, these are all of the different actions I can take. So you'll see I can create a task, make a call, send an email, send a text, set a delay, add to another smart plan, or restart the smart plan. So the first thing that I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to send an email. So I'm going to send that email that I just created. So here's that first step. I'm going to name the subject. So I'm going to say something like, you're invited to Jill and Jenny's housewarming party. And you can add emojis to this subject line, kind of make it fun and, you know, think of a really catchy subject line. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do is under email type, instead of simple. So simple is just a simple text email, but we designed an email. So you're going to click on designs and then select the design. So that's going to pull in your email design library. And here's that email that we just created. So I'm going to click on that. Got it. And it's going to give you the option to make any edits if you need to. But it's a good kind of way to look everything over, make sure that that's what you want. Maybe I'll go in here and I'll edit that and I can delete that and save it. And then I can exit out of there. Then it'll, you know, it'll show you that thumbnail here so you know exactly what email is going to be sending out. And if at any point you want to, you know, edit this, you can click those three dots. You can edit that design, preview the design, or select a new design or remove it completely. So then there's that first step. So you can even leave it at that if you choose to. Otherwise, what you can do is if you want to set up more steps to this, you would just do, you know, you would select from the list of actions. So then maybe you want to set a delay. So let's say the first step, you send the email, but then you want to set a delay of, let's say, 2 days. So I'm just changing that number right in here. And I'm going to click that little checkbox for save. So right now I've got, okay, I'm sending an email and then it's going to delay 2 days. And then maybe I want to send a text message. So there is an option in Command to set up a Twilio account. So Twilio is going to automate those text messages. So if you have a smart plan like this going and you have that email sent out and then a delay, and then you have a text, if you have that Twilio account, it's just going to allow that text to automatically send out. Otherwise, if you don't have Twilio, you'd have to manually send the text yourself. So 2 different options there. With the Twilio account, it does not come from your personal phone number. It would come from your Twilio number, which you would select it yourself when you do set up that account. You can choose a local area code, but just know that that's that more automated text messaging service. So if you do select text, you can send as an automated text, or you can select it to just create a text task. So this would just be a task reminder to send that text message. So here you can set that priority level. It's very similar to setting up any sort of task in this system. So then it would be due on that day. So remember, you have that delay already set. And then let's say that email was sent out 2 days later, you're going to get that task to send that text message. And you can name that task, send text reminder with RSVP link. So then you can add that description. And maybe you just want to, in the description, write the exact text message that you would send out. Otherwise, if you had it sent as an automated text, of course, you would see your Twilio number here, but then you could type in that text message. So that's one option. Otherwise, if you wanted to just stick with email, maybe I'll delete this step. Maybe you just want to send a follow-up email. So then at that point, you would click on send email again. And you could do really the same email, but the subject line is maybe reminder, you're invited to Joe and Jenny's housewarming party, or please RSVP. A little bit more of a call to action in that subject line. And then you could select the same design. And again, anytime you do this, it's gonna pop up where you can make any edits that you choose to. Otherwise, nope, good, save. And exit out of there. And there we go. So you'd send out that email, delay 2 days, and then send that follow-up email. Again, please RSVP with that same email invite. And you can kind of do this as much as you want, just depending on how much lead time you have up until that event. But you'll notice that maybe you want to send a different email, or you want to set another delay after that second email. And then maybe you follow up with a phone call. So maybe I'm delaying that, let's just say 5 days. And then finally, I want to personally invite those people, and I'm going to call them. So then you would say, call to invite to housewarming party. You can add a description in there, add that hyperlink for that RSVP so that you have that ready when you're making that phone call. And you guys, you can really make this your own, set this up to what makes sense for you. But this is just a couple of examples of how you can set up that custom smart plan. So there we go. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. 5 steps to that smart plan. Once I'm satisfied with that, I'm going to hit save. So once that's saved, I can click back, and then it's going to show up in my smart plan library. So under this main tab here, my smart plans, there it is, housewarming party. All right, so you'll see under actions, I can add a contact here. I can always go back in and edit. But once you're ready to actually send out the smart plan to that list of contacts, in my opinion, the easiest way is to do it through the contacts applet. So you can always click on add contact here. However, you'll notice that it only shows 1 through 20 of your contacts. So if you have a list of like 50 people, or just 20, that's fine. You can always click tags and filter by, that tag, housewarming party, or whatever you tagged those contacts as, and then you can select that specific tag. Otherwise, you can also do this in contacts. So if I click on my contacts here, the reason I'm showing you in contacts is if you are ever doing this and you have a big list of contacts that you're inviting, instead of you having to go through 20 at a time, this allows you to select up to 500 when you're viewing your contacts in your contacts applet. All right, so then you would just want to filter by that tag. So again, I can click on filters here. And then here's my tags. And then I could search for that filter. Of course, I haven't created that one yet, but I would select the tag. Let's just say it's this one. So I would select it and then hit apply. Sorry guys, my Wi-Fi is slow in here. Okay, so once that filter is on and it loads, here we go. So then what I can do is then I can select all by clicking that very first little checkbox. And then I have a select action or select bulk action drop-down menu. And that's going to allow me to add to Smart Plan. And all of my Smart Plans are going to show up on the side here with my newest at the very top. So then I can select that one. It's going to say anyone who I'm missing contact information for. So I'm missing emails for 2 people. That's okay. Remove contacts with errors. But then it's going to say, okay, I'm sending it to 258 people. For a housewarming party, probably not that many, but you can either choose to start that Smart Plan now, meaning that that first step email would send right now. Otherwise, I can choose to start on a particular date. So if I choose that option, I can then select from the calendar, and maybe I want to send this out starting, Monday morning, the 23rd. So I can choose that particular date. You'll also see an option to stagger the start over the next few days. So that is more so for a call plan. Like if you were specifically setting something up where you're prompted to call people, like the quarterly call plan, this is a great option. Then you're not getting tasked to call 500 people on one day. You can stagger that. So you can choose to only call 10 people a day. So that's what that option is for. In this case, you choose either the first or the second option. Once you're good with that, you can hit confirm, and then that's it. Then that Smart Plan will start, and those emails and those texts or those task reminders, those are going to start populating. Those emails are going to send out. You're going to get those task reminders to call somebody or text them, or that text is going to automate and send. And then you could do something very similar with the follow-up. So maybe you're crafting a different sort of email, pulling in some of those pictures and those videos from the event and formulating that email. And that can be your follow-up, like thank you email. Thank you for attending. We had a great event. Here's, enjoy some pictures, either link to a video on YouTube, link to like a Google Drive folder of photos or Dropbox or whatever it is that you have all those photos in. But a great follow-up email post the event, and also send it to everyone who didn't attend so that they get that FOMO as well. All right, any questions? Hope I didn't go too fast on that, but yeah, got some different options there. Kathleen, is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, I just think that we talk a lot about what's going to make you unique and how are you going to stand out from the rest of the agents. And this is just one way to really set yourself apart. And, maybe you don't necessarily do it for every client, but I think if you really start developing a system for it and you lean on that lender relationship or title relationship, both to help you support you in the cost of the parties, I think it's a really great way to make yourself stand out, get to know the people instead of just oh, hey, my friend wants to buy, call them, who, right? You're going to get to know the referrals that are in your pipeline. And then it's just, it could be another 30 people that you add to your database, which to me, I would much rather do a party than an open house, right? That's just how I roll. So we talk a lot about lead gen and how to figure out what really works for you and what kind of lead gen, you know, you can lean into and double it up on. I would say give this a shot and add this to your book.
Yeah, it's a very unique way to add to your database. Think of it this way, like you're adding, I would say, warmer leads into your database than doing like an ad campaign or a Zillow, you know, paying for Zillow leads or something like that. You know, these are people that you know, are creating really a good referral network too. So kind of think through that. And yeah, I thought this was a really great, unique way to grow your database. And it's something, I think something more fun too, like Kathleen said, instead of holding an open house and not really knowing the people who are coming in, but like, you know, you have that connection between your client already. Like these are your clients' sphere. So great way to utilize that. All right, you guys, that's all we got for training today. Thank you so much for popping on. If you guys have any questions on the content that we went through, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Kathleen. And again, this is recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube.